Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Carolina and today is June 13th, 2019. It has been some time. I think my last video was around the middle or end of February. I think it was towards the end. I know I did an update sometime in February, and then at the very end I did a little vlog style video. So it's definitely been some time, but the good news is I have a ton to show you. I have some finishes, I have some progress, and I have some plans to talk about. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you is an FFO. I showed this finished piece in my last update, and it's Rebels Coming Proud by Stitch Fusion from Etsy. I did finish it in a hoop. This is an 8-inch hoop, I believe. That doesn't seem like it's 8 inches. Maybe, I think it might be a 6-inch hoop now that I think about it. I wrapped some ribbon around it, and I very roughly backed it with felt. You can see it's really not that good, but it's fine for now. It's my first one, and then I just put some of that same ribbon up here to hang. This is for my husband. He actually started this project, but it was too much. It was bigger than he expected, so I finished it for him, and it's currently in his office, which he is slowly making into a Star Wars themed office. It is a home office. He's a web developer, and he also has a ton of Star Wars books. He's a huge fan, so those are eventually going to go up. He's thinking of building some shelves that like go around like the four walls, and he puts his book. I don't know how many books there are. I know there's a ton. He has about 250 to 300 of them, so it's a lot of books he needs to find space for, and he wants to get art for the walls that's Star Wars themed, so I'm going to contribute by stitching some stuff. I have about 3 more patterns I like to stitch. One of them's already started, and he actually doesn't know about it, but eventually he'll get it. Maybe next year I'll make that a year whips piece and work on that. And there's another one that I've purchased but I haven't started. So there's at least 2 more coming. Actually I think 3, but I don't know if that third one, like I said, I'm not sure if I purchased it or not. So there is that, but I am looking forward to giving them to him. He also would like some prints, not just stitch stuff, so I'll have to see how to balance it out. So he has, you know, artwork that he's chosen and bought, and stuff that I've stitched for him. So yeah, so that is my first FFO that I have to share with you. Sorry. Now the next 2 FFOs I don't actually have with me because they were gifts and they have been given to the people. They were for my cousins. They're 2 birth samplers. So what I'll do is I'll insert both pictures here. So the first one you can see is a flamingo pattern. That's actually the July? I'm pretty sure it's the July block from the Snowflower Diaries Joyful World Sal. It is a free sal that is still available, so I will put the link to the blog down below if you're interested. Obviously there's one for every month. I actually downloaded all the patterns to do the sal. I just never got around to it. But I did do that block for her. My aunt specifically mentioned, that she wanted to include flamingos because that was kind of like the theme they had for like the nursery and her birth announcement and that kind of stuff. Her baby shower was flamingo themed gifts, so that's why we decided to go with that, and I had a hard time actually finding a pattern. Now there are some flamingo patterns available, but there weren't really birth records. I found one and I thought it was pretty cute, but my aunt didn't like it as much, and she was kind of the one that was helping me choose something that she thought would fit the style that my cousin would like and all that. So I ended up showing her that, and I said, well, what I can do is maybe show you some flamingo patterns and then modify it to be a birth sampler. So that's what we ended up doing. So that was the first one. The second one started out as a dimensions kit called A Gift of Love. I did make some changes. The first was that it featured a blonde baby and my cousin's son. So my cousin, I don't even know what, second cousin? I just call him my cousin. He was very, very dark hair, like black. So I managed to change that. I was a little nervous because I'm like, what do I do for highlighting black? Like there's nothing, like there's not a light black and a dark black. So I used some grays. I was worried that it would look like, you know, like gray hair, but it really worked out. I used very dark gray, so you can't tell as much. Anyway, so the other thing that it is, it changed the border. The border on the pattern was very, I don't know, it was really busy first of all, and I didn't want to stitch it. It had a lot of flowers and ribbons, which of course this is for a baby boy. Not that we can't include every type of item for every type of gender, but it just didn't fit in my opinion. So I changed it to the stars. I just got a border off of one of my books, and got the stars from there, and then I just made the little, you know, the little star thingies that connect it, not really star, just like the little motifs that go around it to make the border. So I did make that change as well. But if you're interested in the original pattern, the border was like flowers and ribbons. So yeah, and you could probably swap out the color of the onesie if you wanted to, really easily, to a pink, to a purple, to whatever you would like. So that was a lot of fun. I'm sorry I couldn't show them to you in person, and they are FFO, they're framed, but I did not get a chance to take a picture because my cousins do not live near me. So we were, you know, when we went to visit, we were packing and getting everything ready, and it was just a lot going on. So I like barely remember to just take the snapshot of the finished products. I was gonna do like a little video, but I just did not have time with everything we had to do, especially flying with a baby, and for the first time it was just a lot going on. So I did not have a chance to do that, but at least I got the pictures for you. So the next thing I have to show you is also a finish. I'm not necessarily showing all my projects in order because I'm going to show the finishes first. But the next one, since it's been so long, it's a lot of progress from where I was to the finish. So this is where I was. And I think I'm just going to show you pictures. I basically took a screenshot of what I showed in the last update, and I'm going to show you the finishes and the progress. I know there's a little bit of glare, but I figured that would be probably the best way for me to do this in a timely manner. So here's the finish. That's where I was. That was First Kiss, by the way. This is a kit that came from China. I got it on eBay for like $3, I think $3 and change. It was very inexpensive. I don't really know who the designer was. I don't think it was on there. Thinking back on it, I'm really hoping it was legit. It seemed like it was, but I don't really know because everything was written in, you know, the Chinese characters, so I would not know. I'm hoping it was, but it was something I legitimately purchased. I did swap out the fabric, and I do apologize for the lighting. It's a weird time of day, plus I have my lamp, so hopefully this is showing up all right. I love this so much because it's in sepia tones. It looks like a sepia photograph, and I love it. It went super fast. As you saw in the picture, I literally just had the hat, the face, and the hair of the girl, and the face wasn't filled in. That is all stitched, and I stitched obviously the rest of her and the boy. They are sharing a first kiss. It's super cute. I didn't use the included area because it was white and 11 count, so I didn't want it to be that big, and I thought the white wouldn't look as nice as this cream color. This is an antique white even weave. Not so even weave by MCG Textiles. It wasn't too bad. It's a little bit flimsier than what I would like. I like the fabric just to be a little bit stiffer, but as far as the even/unevenness, it was not too bad. Would I use it for a larger project? Probably not. But I think it would be more the not the unevenness, but the flimsiness, just so thin and hard to like. In the Q-snap, it would just slip, and that's what I didn't like the most about it. But I mean, the finished product looks fine stitched up, so I'm very happy with it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it. Probably frame it myself. That's eventually gonna happen. Probably not for a little while, but is what it is. The next one actually don't have a preview image. I don't think I showed it in the last update, so I don't remember when the last time that I did show it was. But this is Moonlight Laguna Mermaid by Nora Corbett. I know in my wrap-up video for 2018, I did show, I was going to say Moonlight, but this is Moonlight Sunrise Laguna Mermaid, which I have finished, and that is framed. I would like this to get professionally framed. I actually have a frame that is the same frame as Sunrise Laguna Mermaid, but a different color that'll go better with the colors in this one. But they're still the same frame, so I think it's gonna look really nice when I put them up together as they are meant to be a pair. So here is my finished piece. I love it so much. I'm trying to angle it towards the window so the lighting is nicer. But you can see here it's got beads. These are size 8 beads. I love the color. They're so nice. They're big, but not quite as big as the size 6, which I have used on a project, and they are massive. So this size 6 is nicer because it's definitely bigger. You can notice they stick out from the fabric a lot. I think you can see. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's not so bulky. I don't know. The other one is just like really, really, you know, high off because it's bigger. I think this size is a nicer one for the bigger beads, and I love the colors. So this was meant to use Karen water lilies. I swapped it out for variegated flosses that I had. I used some Jodari floss, and I used the DMC variations just because I didn't want to spend the money on the water lilies. It called for, I think, 6, and that'd be like $20-something or $30, and I just didn't feel comfortable, especially when I had colors that match well, especially with something like the flowers. Like, it just doesn't make sense to use some, you know, sometimes the variegation, I had to cut it certain ways to make sure you could even see it. I probably could have just made them a single color and they would have been fine, but I'm glad I did what I did. I'm just saying, like, sometimes, like, one thing I definitely swapped out was one of the Karen water lilies was for these lighter flowers here. And I don't even know why you would use a variegated, because, like, a leaf is so small that you couldn't even notice it unless the color swapped, like, every 3 stitches, which usually it doesn't. Usually you'll get, I mean, depending on how much space there is between the different colors, you can get 5 stitches, you could get 12 stitches, so like you wouldn't even notice. Now the longer stems did call for a variegated, but I ended up using a DMC variegated, and that you can tell because like there's longer bits of it. But the other ones I just didn't even bother because like you're not going to be able to tell. But I'm very, very happy with her. I made her my focus piece in May. I decided to do Mermania. I had 2 mermaids. I stitched on one a little bit, and then I went to this one and I'm like, you know what, I'm so close to getting her done, let me just work solely on her, and that way I can get a finish. And that's what I ended up doing. I still got progress on my other mermaid. I will show a video clip. I'll insert it after I finish talking about this one, because I just loaded it on my Omanik. It's ready to be worked on, and I don't want to take it off and possibly just mess things up, if that makes sense. Then I have to reload it and then tighten it. So I'll show a clip of what's exposed right now and you'll be able to see it. Actually, it might not be right after this because I do have some more finishes to show you, and then I'll go to whips. But yeah, I'm super pleased with this. I'm very excited with how it looks. I can't wait to get her framed. We just can't at the moment because we had some house stuff come up, and it's just not feasible to get it framed right now. As far as the other finishes, they were slightly impromptu. So if you guys watch the Sunshine Stitchers, you do know that Sheila finished recently a hands-on designs trio of patterns. Technically she did 4 because it came with a bonus chart, but it is originally a trio of patterns called the Laundry Company, and there were witty sayings about, you know, laundry and having to do laundry, and it being such a chore and all of that. So when she finished, I let her know, I'm like, ooh, hey, if you want to destash them, I'm interested. You know, I've been watching her stitch it, and I'm like, that's really witty. I like them. I want to stitch them. And she so very sweetly gifted them to me. So I started stitching them. They stitch up super fast. They're very quick. So there's 3 patterns. The first one is Laundry, the Never Ending Cycle. I did swap colors, and I'll show you where it is. So this is my finish. This is on 22 count hardanger, and I love how cute the tiny stitches look. So this is meant to be yellow and teal and gray. Maybe, I don't think they call for these exact DMC colors. I just happened to pick those because I think they went better with what I picked for the main color. So this is supposed to be like a tealish gray. as well as this. And I had seen these Classic Color Works flosses that were vibrant and fun, and I wanted to use them on something. And then when I knew Sheila was going to give these to me, it kind of just clicked together in my mind, and I'm like, that's what I'm going to use it for. So this is called Classic Colors Jelly Roll. I used it on laundry and I used it on Never Ending, and I love it. It's basically like a magenta color, and it just transitions from a dark to light version of that same hue. So since there were 3 charts, I kind of started with this color, and I'm like, should I make all 3 of them that color? I'm like, no, let's make it more fun. So I knew I wanted to do a purple, and then I thought of a teal. But since there were already teal accents, I'm like, that's not going to work unless I switch the accents also to another color. So I decided to go with a blue, just like a royal type blue. So I will show you that one next. And keep the yellow, the teal, and the gray. I just picked slightly brighter, more jewel-like tones to fit better with the flosses that I picked for the main part of the quote. So there's that. The other thing I did is, this is actually a little bit longer. There's some laundry products down here, like a box of detergent, the actual bottle of detergent, and other laundry items. And at first I'm like, ooh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out the colors so that they look like the laundry products that I use. So like the baby detergent, which has a white container with pink and mint colors. I'm going to use the purple and black for the other detergent container, which we use a lot for dark clothes because my husband actually wears a lot of black shirts. Plus we have our dark pants and our blue jeans, so I like using the detergent that's for dark colors. And then the traditional like regular detergent, which we use one that happens to be yellow with like a greenish top, but they're all kind of very similar. Like when you think of generic laundry detergent, you think like orange and blue or yellow and green. And I was going to do that. Then I'm like, if I was doing just this pattern, that would work, but since I'm doing 3 patterns, pulling in all those colors, I'd have to somehow incorporate them in the other ones, or it's just going to look out of place. So I struggled with it a lot. What am I going to do? Maybe I'll, like the second pattern has some laundry baskets. Maybe I can make each laundry basket a different color and use some of the same colors. And the third one has some clothing on the bottom that I guess was just washed. And I'm like, maybe I can make some of the clothes that color. I'm like, it's just going to be too busy. I'm not going to be happy with it. Let me just cut it out. So for this one, I had to think of something to do, because if I cut that out, it would just be very short. And the other ones, I managed to cut out a section that I just didn't think would go with it, and it was 84 stitches. And so this one needed like 5 more rows to be stitched on, and I'm like, oh, let me just repeat that, because I skipped 1 row, there's 1 row, and these are 4 rows vertically. But all the other patterns only have 2 of these squigglies. So I'm like, I don't want to add a third one. This is the only one, a third. So I just decided to do a generic motif. And it pulled in more teal, because the other 2 patterns do have a lot more of the teal accents. This one doesn't. It would have been the laundry products, but I decided not to do them. So I put it in here, and that way it pulled more of that. So that was my first finish. I finished the second pattern, which is self-service, loads of fun. The major modification I did on this is that the loads of fun was in the same font as self-service, but the other pattern also has wording in negative space. So I showed you laundry, which has never ending in negative space. And the next one, which I'll show you in a bit because it's a whip, has a word in negative space as well, and this one didn't. So I'm like, well, I wanted to have wording in negative space, so I just charted it so that it would. I just had to cut out a little bit here. It said the laundry company, and I kind of wanted to include that because I thought it would pull them together and kind of, you know, because that's the main title of the set, but it just wasn't gonna work. Sorry about that. So I just cut it out, and I think this one's 83 stitches instead of 84. It's not going to be too noticeable. Also on 22 count hardanger, and the color I decided to use was Classic Color Works Granny Annie. I did have to cheat a little bit. So the sections, and you probably can't tell on here because of the lighting and because of the way. So this section is the lighter of the hue of that royal blue, and it was a little bit short. So basically what I did is I pulled the DMC that kind of matched the lighter version of the blue, and I added a few stitches just to extend it, so it matches perfectly. And actually, so I'm really happy, but it just those. I wish I could, I'm gonna have to figure out a way. Maybe I'll have to start filming over here so the lighting hits, because it's like weird. This is better lighting, and then you can see the artificial lighting on this side. It's definitely much better going this way. But if I sit here, I'm just gonna get, you know, completely, I don't know. I think here would be better. Maybe I'll shift my camera and we can record filming this way so it's a little bit better. So I won't re-record what I've already shown you, but you might notice a slight difference in just a second. Hey guys, so I think this works so much better for the lighting. So I apologize that the lighting was a little bit weird towards the beginning of the video. It's still a lot of fun. I'm having fun. I hope you are too. But hopefully this will be better. So yeah, I can already tell it. So, because it's just, at least it's consistent. At least if it was like the yellow lighting, it'd be just yellow. I was like Two-Face over here with like fake lighting, sunshine from the outside. Now it's like even. So I'm good now. Okay, whips. Where was I? So that was as far as, or that was all the finishes I have to show you. I whipped through those laundry services really quickly. I was very pleased about that. I was just having so much fun. And I almost just decided to finish the third pattern, but I really wanted to get some progress on my mermaid, which I will insert the clip of that now here. Hey guys, so my first whip is made of Atlantis. This is what she's going to look like, except I'm decided not to do the frame. I went back and forth a bit, but I like it without it. So that's where that is. Here is, sorry about that flash of pattern there, but here is the top part. The tail is all done. The chair, you can see the top of it there, and the anchor, except for beading. It's all set up on my frame, so I decided to leave it, but I started on the bottom of the hair. I'm hoping to get her done. I'm going to work on her for 2 more days, including today, and tomorrow, and hopefully I can finish all the stitching. I don't think I'd get to finish the beading. Maybe I could start it, I don't know, and then I'll pick it up later on. I really need to work on my stocking, which I'll show in a little bit, but I wanted to give her some time, since her stitching is so close to being done. Maybe I can knock that out. And the next time I pick her up, it'd just be beading in that. I kind of have to decide if I'm going to bead on my Omanik or not. It is a scroll type frame, so once the beaded part goes into the scroll frame, I'd be a little bit concerned, especially because there's some size 8 beads that could get crushed real easily. So I might not bead in frame. I know Jessie Marie mentioned quilt batting, and that helps, but maybe only if there's size 11 or petite beads, not these, you know, these beads that are so big. So that's why I might just take her out, but I am really looking forward to getting her done. She's my first full-size mirror that will be done, so I'm really excited about that. So that's Mermaid of Atlantis. I actually worked on her a little bit in Mermania for me, and a little bit now. I have another 2 days that I'm going to work on her, and then I'm going to pick up a stocking that I really need to get done this year. My plan was, as soon as school was out, work on it, and try and get it done, but it's not my favorite project to work on. So I'm like, I really don't want to start my summer, my time, stitching on something that I really don't want to work on, but I do know I want to get it done. So I just decided, let me take a few days to stitch on some stuff I want to stitch on, and then after that I will work on the stocking. Probably not exclusively, but you know, really put in the time. So anyway, so that was Mermaid of Atlantis. I'm hoping to get all the stitching done. I really hope that works out, so that next time I pick her up, I just have to beat her, and then I'll be done. So yeah, so the next whip I might as well show you is Laundry Company Part 3. This is Irony, the opposite of Wrinkly. I'll show you the picture, since that one's not finished. So this is Irony, the opposite of Wrinkly, which I think is the first one I saw, and I just thought it was so funny. So what I'm modifying is I'm changing Wrinkly and Irony to a purple, which is going to be classic Colorworks Pansy Purple. I had to do the same thing I did with Granny Annie, where I pulled the DMC that close, like it pretty much matches the lighter shade within the variegation, just to accentuate it a little bit more. But it's fine, you know, it's still the essence. It was the dye lot I happened to pick did not have as much of the lighter of the color than like I've seen it have. So for this one, I also am cutting out the clothing line, and that's going to be exactly 84 stitches. So this is actually the first one that I modified, because I'm like, well, I already didn't really like the clothing line because it doesn't make sense to me. This is supposed to be a dress and shirts, but the dress is the same size as the t-shirt. So if your dress is the same size as your t-shirt, there needs to be a little bit more coverage going on. Not saying you can't wear what you want, but I just think that looks weird. I mean, even if you're wearing a super, super short dress, like t-shirts don't even cover, I mean, unless you're wearing a super long t-shirt, like they're supposed to go down to like your waist, right? And they're not really, like right above your hips. So like that's not a dress then. It's a skimpy shirt. It just didn't make sense to me. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll change the clothes and I'll do like one will be a pair of shorts and one will be some socks. And I was thinking one could be a onesie to represent my daughter. And I was going to pull in those colors that I mentioned earlier when I thought about, let's make the laundry products the colors of the laundry products I use. But I decided not to do that. So I ended up just cutting it out, and I'm much happier with it. So let me show you, get my hair out of the way. This is the whip. Oh, the colors are weird because of the lighting, but at least, like I said, it's more consistent now, but I think this is just because of the colors I chose. So I've got wrinkly, and that's upside down. Lovely. I have wrinkly and the P of opposite, and that's it. So I'll pick this up sometime soon. I do want to get them done, but I just wanted to take a little bit of a break. So that's my first whip that I'm showing you today. The next whip I have to show you is a freebie. This is part of my year of whips. I broke it up so that it actually is 3 whips. I could have made each individual box a whip, or I could have made the whole project a whip, but I think that if I'd made the whole project a whip, I would have gotten really frustrated that it was taking so long to get done. And if I made each box a whip, I just felt like they're so small that to me it's not worth it to make it a whip. So I decided to make each row a whip. This is a monthly freebie Sal. So I did each row, I did 4 rows of 3, which gives you the 12 months. The first one was done last year. So the last 3 rows are each a whip. So the April through June, July through September, and then October, November, December are the 3 whips. So I got whip 1 done. So the first row you've seen previously. The only thing about the lighting on this side is that the colors are a little bit, it's fine. It's fine. So this is done last year, and the whip that I finished this year is April, May, and June. I'm picking random variegated flosses. I've got DMC, I've got Most Sale, I think I've got a Jottery in there. I might not have a Jottery. It might just be Most Sale. Sorry, I thought something looked off for a second. I'm like, no, but it's fine. I've got the DMC variegated. I've got DMC Coloris. I'm going to use 1 Dinky Dyes just because it was perfect. And I've got some Weeks Dye Works as well. So it's just different variegated flosses, whatever I thought worked. So there's April, May, and June. And then in the second whip, I've got July. And I've got a little bit of August. So I'm not sure when I'll pick this up again. I definitely want to get it obviously done because it is a year of whips. They go pretty quickly. They take me maybe a couple days. Obviously not all 24 hours of the day, but you know what I mean. 2 times of picking it up and working on it, maybe 3. Some are a little bit more stitch intensive than the others. It just depends what the motifs are. This is a free Sal from a Hungarian website. It's called the Palco 2015 Sal. It's a little bit tricky to find because the website is in Hungarian. Sometimes Google will try and translate it. Sometimes it is successful. Sometimes it says it wasn't able to translate it. But it is a little tricky to find. I can include the link that takes you to January, and then you just kind of have to click around and find them. I'm sorry I can't be much more help than that. But if I remember sometimes, because I looked it up a few times before I finally just saved all the patterns to my computer, which I don't know why I didn't do that right away. But sometimes I found it super easy and sometimes it wasn't as easy. So I don't know what it is, if it's part of the search engine optimization, whatever, you know, the blog is paying for it or not, I don't know. But sometimes like you type it in and you find all the months, no big deal. Sometimes you just find the first post that has January and the layout of what the style is going to look like. Then you really have to do a lot of clicking to find the other months. So I'll at least insert the link to January, and at least you can go from there if you're interested. And obviously that's all released because it was, you know, from 2015. I didn't discover it till like 2016 or 17. I saw somebody's whip and I asked them what it was, and they pretty much told me that it's a freebie from a Hungarian site. You kind of have to do a lot of clicking, but you'll find it. So yeah, that's the story. The next thing I have to show you is called Dog Lessons for People by Lizzie Kate. This was my Christmas present from my mother-in-law. So I decided to start it. That's what it's going to look like. I haven't shown it. I don't think I've shown it since I've started it. So this is the first time you'll be seeing it. I did make some changes. I changed the colors. I don't know why Lizzie Kate does a lot of her patterns that look similar to this and like the same classic Colorworks colors. It's like a blue, a brown, and a dark brown, and I've noticed that in a lot of her patterns, and they're not always the most exciting colors. And I don't know if that's because maybe she thinks, oh, you'll have the colors already, so you'll use it on the next pattern or what, or she just liked the look of that. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something more fun, so I chose a bright royally blue and a magenta color. I'm also doing a little bit of changes, like that heart is supposed to be green, and I was just like, why did you make the heart green? So I made it red. I actually just went through my left bag of leftover kit floss and picked a red strand and stitched the heart. I am modifying it a little bit. I made some of the spaces a little bit smaller, and I made some of the letters just like a stitch shorter. Some of the ones that have a lot of extra like tails going on, like the F's, I made a little shorter because this fabric I got as a freebie from my LNS when they had a mini retreat and class, and they had a freebie table of fabric cuts, and most of them were like awkward, you know, sizes, but I picked some that I thought would be useful, and this was one of them. It's just a little bit too short, so I needed to make each row of words about 5 inches shorter, or 5 inches, oh my god, 5 stitches shorter. So a lot of it was really easy because there's a lot of extra spacing. So like between some words there was like 4 stitches of space, so I brought it down to 3 or even 2. And then some letters I just made a little bit smaller, like the N. There are some N's, like if you know Lizzie Kate, you know her font is not that consistent. Some are bigger, some are smaller. So even within this pattern there's some N's that are 3 stitches across and some that are 4 stitches across. So I just made like all the ends be 3 stitches across, and doing that ended up making it the size. So that was the main modification. The other modification I did is that I have 2 dogs and there's only one featured in this pattern. So this one I'm leaving exactly the same, except I'm going to stitch it in black. And then where you see this bone, which I was a little bummed about it because I like the bone, but it's fine. I actually got a chart of a dog from a book called Mini Mega Cross Stitch by Makoto Ozu, I believe. In fact, you know what? I have the book. Let me just show you. Wrong one. Here we go. You can actually see I have my working copy there. Let me just double check it. Yep, it is. So you can see here, see, I didn't use this particular one, but he has a page of just dogs. So I picked the one that looked the most like my dog and just changed it up a little bit. Like I rounded out the ears just a little bit just to make it look more like my dog. And that way my dog would be my 2 dogs would be represented in the pattern instead of just one. So I'm really looking forward to stitching on that. It goes pretty quickly, as Lizzie Kate font patterns tend to do. So we'll see when I pick it up. It might be a Tuesday pattern that I take to my stitch-ins, just so that it's something that you can talk and chat and have fun and be stitching on. So I am excited to get some progress on that. It is a Year of Whips piece, even though it's a newer start, just because I would like to get it done, and I think it's feasible to get it done. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to having that finished at some point by the end of the year. The next whip that I have an update on is Strike a Balance. I did show that one last time, so this is where I was. I had the entire outline done and I'd started some of the greens, and right now I added some more of the greens. My phone just fell. And I started stitching some of the brown of the mountains. So you can see here that it does fit in a 10-inch hoop. It's just a little bit shifted because of where I was stitching and the tension, but I am going to finish it in a hoop and it's going to go over the top, so it does actually fit and it'll be FFO that way. Very similar to Rebel Scum and Proud, where I wrapped the black ribbon. I thought that looked really nice, so I think that's what I'm going to do with this. I had mentioned in that last video how I was going to work on this till it was done. Things happen, plans change. So we'll see when I work on it again. It's gonna go pretty quick, especially this side. I did have to do some fudging in this waves, as I've mentioned before. So I might have to take a little bit of time to do these down here just to make sure the ombre looks right, since I had to change some of these curves a little bit. But after that ombre is done, the rest of the pattern should look pretty much the same. Like everything from the whale up is gonna be exactly as charted. It's really just this section right here. In fact, even this part of it is probably gonna be as charted. It's just this like part maybe up to this big curl where I might have to do some fudging of, like, there's some ombre going on from like purpley blues to like dark royal blues, so I might have to change like the amount of stitches just based on the, because I had to make some of these shorter, some of this longer, but other than that it should go pretty quickly. So that's why I didn't feel so bad putting it aside, because I feel like when I do get back to it, it's going to go fairly quickly, and it's definitely reasonable that it's going to be done this year as long as I pick it back up. Now, the stocking that I've been talking about. I did show it last time. I actually have a lot of progress to show you. Sorry it's a bit blurry. Like I mentioned, this is just a screenshot from the video. I figured this would be the easiest way with time effective as far as the video and editing wise for me. So I did finish the entire top part of that stocking. Where is my board? Here. So I'm very pleased with that. I even started a little bit on the second page. The bottom of the pattern is not as stitch intensive because it doesn't have as much of this green branch part, which is the most stitch intensive because there's like so many greens in there. It's so confetti heavy. It takes a really long time. I think after I give a couple more days to Mermaid of Atlantis, or if I finish the stitching before that, I'm gonna start working on this some more and really get some progress in. And even when I get tired of it and want to move to another project, I'll make it a point to at least work a little bit on it every day, just so that it keeps getting progress. I don't want to be right up to Christmas and not have this done. Even if I don't get it this summer, which was my original plan, if I can get it done by like October, that would be fine with me. I just don't want it to be like November or the very few first days of December and I'm still trying to get this done, because it's going to be a lot of stress if I do that to myself. So there's that. Alright, I have a couple more whips to show you. The next one is my Mini Heaven and Earth design pattern called Mini Unleash the Butterflies. This is where I was last time. And this is another one where I said I was going to work on it some more and ended up putting it aside. I do have progress, but not as much as I'd mentioned I wanted to have. So there's that. So I added stitching up here and stitching over here. So yeah. So the second page is a Your Whips piece, so I definitely want to get back to it soon. But it's not necessarily something I have to do right this second. Even though it is a Heaven and Earth design, it goes relatively quickly because it is a monochromatic piece, so there are a lot of areas of the same color. Especially this page I'm going to be stitching on has a lot of hair, and that's just black with very few very dark gray, I think is the name of it, highlights, so the black should go in away quickly because it's just big blocks of black. So it should be fine. I should definitely be able to finish a second page, and I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to really putting in more time on her next year. I'm trying to formulate my year of whips. Originally I wanted to like do a year of whips Sal edition and try to finish up all the Sals that I had started, but there are other whips I want to finish, so that might have to be like till 2021, which I know why I'm even mentioning that right now. Or I can incorporate some Sals into next year and then not have as many left over. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure. So yeah, so there's that one. And then the very last whip I have to show you is my Mother Moon. I have gotten a ton of progress done on her. This is the Sal I am doing with EJ. EJ is one of the Sunshine Stitchers. It was our New Year, New Start. I mentioned how I wanted to have her done by the end of July because I wanted to work on her in July for Joan Elliott July, so I figured that's a whole month. I can make it a goal to have it finished by the end of July. But because of the stocking and depending how much I get done, I may not make it a goal to have it finished in July, but that might be one of the patterns I switch off when I really am just bored of the stocking. I just can't take it anymore. So I do have a ton of progress since last time I worked on her, and keep in mind it's been a few months also. But this is where I was. I had the face and the features done. I know that's a bit blurry, but you get the general idea. And now I am here. So obviously the face is still done. I did all these wispy bits. I did the moons in the bottom. I finished the owls on the top, and I included back stitching. I did these butterflies and the flower. There's 4 of them, and that has been the most, the lighting totally just changed. That has been the most frustrating piece for me. It's just not been that fun. It's the first time it's happened to me with this piece. I mean, somebody had mentioned that's how they felt about the owls, but I really enjoyed stitching the owls a lot. These flowers, there's just a lot of color changes. There's a lot of the metallic thread, which it's not the traditional metallic thread. In fact, I originally got the Krynic except for one Petite Treasure braid because I could not find the Krynic for it. And usually I don't have a problem going back and forth between Petite Treasure braid and Krynic. I think they work very similarly. Some people say Petite Treasure braid is way better. I had not experienced that, but with this particular color, which is the white, and you can't really tell that much that's Krynic because it's a very satiny finish, and it was giving me a really hard time, so I decided to get the Petite Treasure braid conversion, and it was a little bit easier to stitch on for sure, but it's not even that noticeable unless you're in person. Like on camera you really can't tell. In fact, there's a DMC that's very similar in color, and sometimes you can't even tell where the DMC is and when the Petite Treasure braid is. But yeah, those have been a little bit of a pain, so I'm definitely going to finish that flower next time I pick it up, and then move on to something else, and then do the next flower, and then move on to something else, because it's probably going to be a little bit frustrating trying to get all the flowers done at the same time, which is what I was trying to do since it's a very symmetric design. Like when I did this owl, and then I did this owl. When I did this moon, I did this moon. When I did this butterfly, I did that butterfly. So I was going to do the same thing with the flowers, but I think it's going to drive me crazy if I try to do that. So I might just like fill in some of this frilly border here, and then do the next flower, and then fill in that bit of a frilly border, and then go down to the bottom and do the frilly bottom border and such. So she is a lot further along. I'm really happy with the progress, but there is still a bit to go because here I have the pattern. I'm gonna hold it far back. You can see that there's an outline to her, so I have to do that still as well. So we'll see when I get it done. I think it's pretty reasonable. I'll have her done this year. I just don't think it's gonna be in July anymore. So as far as projects, that is basically it. I do have some other things to show you, a little bit of haul, and that's pretty much it, just plans. So yeah. So the first thing I have to show you, and I don't think I showed these last time, pretty sure I didn't show these last time, is my most recent purchased patterns. A lot of these were my market day purchases. Some of them weren't market day, but I still bought them on that day. They just weren't released in market. So the first one I have is Mirabilia Enchanted Mermaid by Nora Corbett. I decided to get this because I noticed that a lot of her older mermaids are going out of print. So I bought her thinking that she might be one of the next ones to do so, and I didn't want her to be crazy expensive by the time I was ready to stitch her, so I just decided to go for it. I actually bought fabric for it, but it turned out to be brighter than I thought, so I ordered something else. I think it's going to work out well. If it doesn't, it's a fabric that would work with other patterns, so I might buy a third piece of fabric if so needed. I'm not planning on stitching her super soon, so I do have time. So that's Enchanted Mermaid. The next two patterns were market releases. No, one was a market release and one was by a designer that was there, but she had released it previously. This is by Lindy Stitches, called There's No Place Like Home Except Grandma's. I will be stitching this twice, one for my mom, one for my in-law, except for my mother-in-law, except for my mom's will say abuelas. I was thinking of switching the whole thing to Spanish, but maybe I'll have to see what the Wizard of Oz quote is in Spanish and maybe use that. But I don't know if it's going to flow as well and fit into the pattern as well, so we'll have to see. I'll have to try. I'll have to try. See if I can switch the whole thing to Spanish, but if not, at least the grandmas can say abuelas. And the second one is Bird to the Bows by Lindy Stitches as well. I did also get Peacock Keeper, but I don't actually have it with me. It's in my bag. I had a limited budget for market, so I wasn't able to get everything I wanted, but it's waiting for me for whenever I can. Plus, I already have this big old thing to stitch, so we'll see when I pull the next one. And the last one is this gorgeousness right here, Fairy of the Wind by Joan Elliott. When she released this, I did not realize this, but she's doing a series. She's got Fairy of the Rain, and I think Fairy of the Clouds was just released. But this is really the one that drew me. Just the flowiness of the dress, the hair, I love it. The other ones are nice, I like them, but it wasn't like when I saw this one, I was like, ooh, yeah, I need that. So the last thing I have to talk about is I will be joining in a SAL in just a few days. It is the Barbara Batts SAL, hosted by EJ of Sunshine Stitchers. She actually lent me the pattern because our friend Deb gave her old patterns, and there was like 10 of them maybe more, maybe a little bit less, but around there. And she's like, well, I'm not stitching them all at once. You can borrow one for the SAL, give it back, and then, you know, whatever, we can switch other ones. So I decided to go with South American Angel. I do think I'm going to leave the wings out, just because the angel part of it isn't really my thing, but that is lovely. So I'm really excited. I think I'm not even going to do any sort of dyed fabric. I'm just going to go with a cream colored fabric. One, I'm pretty sure I have it, so I don't need to purchase anything extra. And I think there's so many colors going on here that I think it's going to look awesome. So I'm really excited about it. We'll see. We shall see how it goes. But I'm very, very excited about it. At first, I didn't think there were any beads. And I do not see them on the pattern. I think I see where they are, but they just look like stitches in the picture. I think they're in her necklace, actually, and maybe that's it. Because when I first glanced at it, I don't notice any beads, and then when I was looking at the list of stuff, I saw beads, and I'm like, I don't see beads anywhere on here, but I think on her necklace there, those are blue beads and red beads, so. And is it just 2 beads? Let's see. It's about 46 colors, so there's a lot of colors going on, but 2 beads, yeah. Red, and crayon purple. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I might not even buy beads. I mean, it's like if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 red beads. So maybe like 20, 22 blue beads or crayon purple beads. So I might just pick beads from stash for that. The ones that look as, you know, close as possible to the picture. Because for 22 beads, I don't need a pack of beads. But I'm really excited about this. This is on the 19th, June 19th. So if you're interested, definitely join up. The hash is either, the hashtag is either Barbara Batts Sal or B Batts Sal on Facebook or Instagram. I hope you join us and hashtag your work so we can check it out. I think that's all I have for you guys today. That's probably a lot longer than I thought because it always ends up being. So we'll see what the time is when I pop it into my editing software. Hopefully the lighting wasn't too bad. I always think it's going to be terrible, and when I put it on the screen, I'm like, I mean, it might not be great sometimes, but it's still okay. So thank you for spending time with me. I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon-ish. Oh, I forgot to mention, I will be at StitchCon. So if you are going, I hope to see you there. I will try and do either a vlog or some Instagram stories on there. I'm going to be hanging out with the Sunshine Stitchers will be there. So EJ, Sheila, and Gary, as well as Deb, our friend. So I do have a group of people from here that are going, but I'm excited to meet other people there. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope I see some of you there. I will try to share as much as I can. And I'm excited. It's my first retreat. I am a little nervous because I know I seem all like, ah, but I don't know, but like going up to somebody might not be something I would do. I'd just be like, ooh, look, I know that person. Should I go up and say hi? Like, so we'll see how that goes. But I think just the environment will make it easy to talk to people. And it's going to be probably impossible to talk to everyone. So I will try to say hi to as many people as possible and then see what ends up happening. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Thank you for hanging out with me. Have a great day.